Everybody, this is Heather. We're going to start out. Heather, how did you get into music?
Well, I've always been into music. So I guess we have to go back to when I was really a little kid. And, growing up kind of in a, I had like 3 other siblings, and so there was like lots of people in the house, and, kind of like a middle child. I was very quiet, very shy, and very much of an empath. So I would feel everybody's stress all the time. So music was like my happy place. So, I would just listen to what my dad would listen to, like the Beatles and, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and, these kinds of band music or anything, but it was just like my happy place. Like that's where I felt safe. And so that sort of started my journey of my love for music. And like as a kid, I played piano a little bit. My dad played piano and I would sing with him. And then as a teenager, I learned to play guitar, and I would just play for hours and hours. And so it's always been a happy place for me. And I love it. And then I did like the singer-songwriter thing for a while in my teens and 20s. I did that. And then I was in a couple of bands, and as a singer mostly. And and then it's transitioned into more like the sound healing genre. But not only that, I don't want to pigeonhole it. It's music. So I don't think it needs to be called sound healing, but there is that element to it in what I'm doing now. Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that if you have the intention, because, Bob Marley said that he would inject love into his music, and that changed the world, and he absolutely did that. And me being an absolute music lover, I can't see spirituality without music, because the music itself is healing in general. Would you say that if you have the intention, or if you're a Reiki master, or if you're a healer by trade or an empath, that your music has more of a healing essence to it?
I don't know if it has more of a healing essence to it than other music. I mean, because as what you said, like, I think if your intention is to infuse it with love and healing, then that's what it will be. Even if you don't identify as like a Reiki master or something, right? Just if you're a musician and that's what your intention is to spread love and joy to people, then that's what it will do. So I don't think that that you have to be, a spiritual person to put that love out into the world.
Do you think that music puts us into a natural state of meditation?
I think it definitely can. Yeah. And I mean, even like music like that for some people would be really hard to listen to, for example, like metal music, like death metal or something, but for people who are really into that music, it is like a meditation for them, or it gets them into a really like positive state of mind. Maybe it's like they're really pumped by listening to that and like ready to go for the day, So I think like all genres of music have their place in providing like that good energy to the world. And of course, like some kinds of music might be more conducive to like actually meditating, and like gongs and crystal singing bowls and that sort of thing, or flutes, that kind of thing, or some classical music can also be really meditative. So yeah, definitely, it's definitely a great portal into meditation.
I 100% agree with you. I'm studying Sanskrit and how the original Sanskrit terminology and the syllables of the alphabet were mimicking the vibrations of existence, and it all comes from Om. And when it comes to the heavy metal, I saw this thing where they projected the heavy metal and onto the water, and it breaks up the water. So heavy metal is specifically good to break you up if you're stagnant or if you're hanging on to something. And the frequencies
Yeah,
have different results.
totally. That's cool.
How does sound healing work?
Well, I think, okay, so sound healing, it's kind of seen as this new age thing, but really it's such an ancient form of healing. Like the ancient Egyptians did it, and the Tibetans and ancient Greeks even. And, like indigenous cultures throughout the world, the Aboriginals in Australia, they had their didgeridoo, which is dated back to like 40,000 years or something crazy like that. So, and that instrument, has been known to provide like physical healing, emotional, spiritual healing for them. And yeah, so how does it work? I think it works because we live in this vibrational universe, right? So like everything is vibrating, and everything that we think is solid is not actually solid. And we're all just like atoms, dancing around together, creating these forms, but we're all vibrating all the time. And even if we're not aware of that, like that's the science behind it, right? Like we live in a vibrational universe, and vibration affects and can influence other vibrations, right? So I think that with sound healing, the sound goes through our ears, and then it ripples throughout our entire body, like when you're listening to any music, right? Because we're 75% water, so we're great conduits of sound. Like when you're sitting by a river, for example, and there's like a band playing on the other side of the river, and you can't see them, but you can hear them as though they're like playing right beside you. I don't know if you've had that experience, but
absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing that happens in our bodies, right? When we hear sound, it just like goes through us. And so sound can have like a positive or a negative effect on us, depending on what the sound is, right? So like when you think of like a baby crying or people shouting, it will create like a stress response in us. Whereas when you hear like something very soothing, like the river flowing, or laughter, or your favorite kind of music, then that creates that calming effect. And so I think part of like the purpose of sound healing is to bring us into more of like a theta brainwave state. So because we're like running around, usually stressed out about all kinds of things, now maybe more than ever in human history. I don't know, it's a big statement, but like, people are stressed these days. Mm-hmm. And so our brain waves are in that beta brainwave state, which is like going like really fast, we're just like, we're stressed, so super stressed. And so as we begin to relax, then we go into the alpha. And then as we go even deeper, we get into the theta brainwaves. So I see that as going from like our sympathetic nervous system, which is like the fight or flight, into our parasympathetic nervous system, right? So bringing it down into that calm place. And in that calm place, when we can go into that meditative state and kind of almost even go in like where you're half asleep almost. You're not asleep, but it's like you're almost asleep. You're just in this like really deep meditation. Like that's the place that I think sound healing practitioners, like our intention is to get people into that state. So because there, so much healing can happen. Like even on a physical level, like when we're in that state of rest, then our bodies can begin to realign and come into their natural high frequency state.
That's wonderful. Yes. That's also in line with yoga. In yoga, you're looking to yoke the mind, the intellectual mind, all parts of the mind and the soul, and calm them and bring them into a harmonious state. So I definitely 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah, and also like, you know, there's like an overlap with yoga too, like in terms of like the toning, right? Like vocal toning.
Right.
And where, you know, each chakra has its own like seed sound, and, you know, there's different sounds that you can chant or tone for each chakra.
Oh,
but like there's that overlap, right?
The chakras are Lam, Bam, Ram, Yam, Ham, Om. And I used to think this one was but this one's actually silent.
Okay.
And then each of the petals have a vibration as well. And if you go into a really deep state of meditation and you're working with the chakras, you can feel the vibration of each petal.
Absolutely.
4 petals, 6 petals, all the way up to 12 petals.
Yeah, and that's a really powerful form of sound healing.
Oh yeah, well, it releases your soul from bondage. It can release your soul from bondage very, very quickly, very rapidly.
Yes.
If you get into that state and you the vibration of each petal, it completely frees the soul.
Yeah. So beautiful. Love it.
Please give us some wisdom on how to have a more peaceful life.
Well, well, I guess like some things that I've been practicing lately. One is, you know, gratitude, and my practice recently has been waking up in the morning and just saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and that being my mantra. Just thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And, you know, throughout the day, like if I noticed myself getting into that more like beta state, you know, where I'm like, oh my God, I have to pay my bills.
Yes.
Then like catching myself and just being like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for this too, you know, thank you for everything that is coming to me, because everything ultimately is a gift for my evolution and expanding my consciousness and my love. So just being grateful for everything, and resting, I think, is important. To rest, to give ourselves that time to meditate, to be still. I think like food is really important for me too. Just like, you know, our bodies can have so much inflammation in them just from like what we're eating. And I know everyone has their own ideas about that. And like, also, you know, we set our intentions, and our thoughts are so powerful. But yeah, like, you know, I think just like eating to live, like lots of fruits and vegetables are good for us. And what else? What was the question again?
You're getting into food. The food, there's different levels as far as eating goes. There's different systems, and I've mastered all of them. So you have the Western system where they get into the vitamins and the minerals and all these things. Then you have the Taoist system, which worked a lot on colors and eating the proper colors. You have the Ayurvedic system, which worked really a lot with the elements. And when it comes to the eating, number one, don't eat meat, because meat is just, breatharianism, meat makes your mind dead. Like if you eat meat, you're automatically in the lower realms, and there's no way to get out of it. This is the breatharian path. And from there upward, you want to eat closest to the sun. So fruits and vegetables would have the most energy. As soon as you go lower down into the vibrational field from the fruits and the vegetables, there's more toxic stuff in it, and your body has to excrete. So whatever's pure, your body can turn into flesh and ohas. Whatever's impure, your body actually has to spend more energy to excrete it, and then you have to eat it. So you're spending your life force energy to acquire the food, the money or the food.
Yeah.
You're eating this impure food, and your body has to expend more energy to excrete it. So therefore, you're shortening your life.
Yeah.
When you're eating properly, you do these things. The other thing is you want to become more efficient as a yogini, as a yogi. And the seminal fluids and the fluids that get produced by the endocrine system and the glands for both male and female are very precious. And for male and female, sexual activity relieves these fluids and drains the spinal fluid from the body. So in breatharianism, you're looking to cultivate your internal energy along with your bodily fluids and then cut down your diet. And then they say, as soon as you, as a yogini or a yogi, as soon as your internal fluids and your mind becomes so strong and your body becomes so trained that you can actually stop eating altogether. So lately I've been doing one meal a day. And my breatharian master, he's doing, he did years and years without food. So it took me a long time to cultivate this because you have to train your body, and your body might not react very quickly to the change. So it takes a self-discipline to train your body over time.
Absolutely.
But I think this is important. The body, when the sugar drops below a certain point in the body, and of course the bleach white sugar and the bleach flour is the worst thing that you can eat, feeds the bad bacteria, but your longevity genes turn on at about 6 to 8 hours. So if you eat one meal a day, your longevity genes turn on, you'll have a very, very long life. Now, when you get to be 30, 40, 50 years old, if you're not adapting to a one meal a day or at least intermittent fasting diet, you're going to age very rapidly and you're going to lose your youth. And as soon as you go past a certain point, there's no turning back. At least you can turn back the clock a little, but when your body gets decrepit past a certain point, it's not good. You want to keep yourself in a zone to where your aging is slowed. And it's extremely important, 30, 40, 50, that you begin to adapt those diets.
Yeah, it's really interesting to listen to you. Yeah, diet has been really a predominant part of my experience lately, like in terms of what you're talking about, intermittent fasting. And, I'm almost 100% raw vegan. And, most of that is fruit. So I did do, well, it started maybe I would say like 2 years ago. I did a parasite cleanse and I did it for 3 months. And it was like a really strict Candida diet. And that was great. And then since then I've been playing with, like the intermittent fasting and doing more like breatharian, well, not breatharian fully, but just becoming more and more aware of that. And I'm really feeling like when I do eat cooked food, that my body doesn't like it.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, not good. That was not good. That was not a good choice. Like, just like that reminder.
Yeah.
Of like for like 2 days to get rid of that. Like, why did I do that? But we're conditioned to eat a certain way, and we're taught to believe that we need like so much protein and we need so much of this and so much of that, which it's all lies, really.
Right. Right, exactly. They're telling you what you need to hear so they can make money.
Exactly. It's a business. It's a giant business that's all rolled into like the pharmaceuticals and everything. Mm-hmm.
I just recently learned on my practice that I think is really important for everyone to know is when you first go into intermittent fasting, first there's fear and there's worry and there's craving to get over when your blood sugar gets low. You start to fear. After you get over the fear, it's only through fasting that the crown chakra opens. So the rest of the chakras, you can have blueberries for your throat chakra, you can have, purple fruits, acai, raspberries for the third eye chakra. You can have oranges for the sacral chakra. You can have bananas for your, navel chakra. But it's only fasting, air, and water that open up this chakra. And after you do a couple of weeks where you get those hours of fasting in, you start to feel so clear, so good, so light. It's a huge burden off the chest to do.
Absolutely. And I think that there's a correlation there for sure with like doing the intermittent fasting for myself and being like very clear about, okay, like listening to my inner wisdom, you know, and being clear, like this is my path and this is what I'm going to be doing now. And there can be all of this like fear around me that I can like sometimes do still go there, but I can bring it back to like my truth. So yeah, I think, you know, if your listeners are curious about fasting or intermittent fasting or doing like a fruit diet, you know, I totally encourage that. Definitely.
So do you have a YouTube channel or?
I do. Yeah. You can find me at Heather Sita Black on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram also at Heather Sita Black.
Guys, be sure to check out Heather's stuff. She's a wonderful artist, very, very pleasing, very good energy. I'm going to place the links in the description below. Heather, thank you so much for donating your time to us today. And I wish you long life, good health.
Thank you so much, Vincent. Thank you for having me.
Namaste.
Namaste.